Hey guys, it's Jada and welcome to Teen Word. So yeah, it's not Wednesday, but I'm filling in for a Saturday. So yeah, I saw a lot of good videos this week about self-control, and a lot of them were really good, but they're a little more on the humorous side. And now I'm thinking, since it's the end of the week, I go into more of the serious side. So we're going to be talking about self-control, what, why, and how. So there's three main topics, and then I'm just gonna generalize self-control. Okay. So before we get into the video, I'm gonna explain the what, why, and how. So what is always gonna be just a verse from the Bible of like, what does the Bible say about this type of self-control? Why is going to be, why do I need to have self-control in this particular scenario? And how can I have self-control in this scenario? So yeah, let's get into the video. So, drinking. Okay, so there's a verse in the Bible about drinking, and it's Proverbs 23:31-32, and it says, "Do not look at wine when it's red, when it sparkles in the cup and goes down smoothly. In the end, it bites like a serpent and stings like an adder." This is a very big topic for teenagers because in high school there's just a lot of parties and a lot of opportunities to go out and drink. And I wanted to talk a little about why shouldn't you do this. So there are like specific laws set in place, like you have to be 18 or older to drink, and those are set in place for very good reasons. There's like side effects, like it impairs judgment and you can make really poor decisions while you're under the influence. And actually, alcohol can affect the development of the brain, so that's a really big one. Now we're going to talk about the how. So how can you avoid this situation? How can you make sure you have self-control in these situations? So choosing your friends wisely is really a big one, because if you have good friends, they shouldn't be pressuring you into doing different things that you're uncomfortable with. And if they are, it's okay to move on to a better friend. It's okay to leave your friend group if things start to become really uncomfortable for you and you always have to prove yourself, or you always have to do things that they want you to do. It's not a healthy situation. And of course you can educate yourself, like just by knowing like the effects of alcohol on the brain, and yeah, like how it can affect your mood and change like your whole interpretation about things around you. That's really good to just know how dangerous alcohol can be for teenagers. The next topic is anger, and I have had this happen in the past where I don't really get angry at friends, but I really can be angry towards my family sometimes, and I'll talk about how you can deal with that, because I actually have a few techniques that really have helped me in my past. So we'll start out with the Bible verse, Ephesians 4:26, and it says, "If you become angry, do not let your anger lead you into sin, and do not stay angry all day." So basically, when we're angry, we all know that we can do things that we can regret in the future, and we can say things that aren't really true because we're just angry in the moment. So for why we need self-control is because by having self-control, we can avoid all of those situations where we can end up hurting others or doing something we just really regret when we're back to our normal state of mind. And lastly, how we can have self-control with anger is one, it's a very big one, communication. Just talking it out. Maybe even if you can take a quick little break and say I need to cool down and then we should talk about this, that can work. And communication is always good. You need to pair communication with one of these other things, because that is very key in just any relationship. So the second one is finding an outlet. So that can be music, that can be exercise, or that can literally be like, hey, I need a couple hours, like just leave me to just cool down and, you know, distract myself for a bit, and then can come back and revisit this topic. I find personally exercise really helps because I can just go out for a run and just be angry while running, get a good workout, and then come back and be like, okay, now let's talk about this. And the last one, it's a very big one, but sex. So we're going to start with a verse from the Bible, and then talk about why should we, you know, wait for marriage to have sex. So in 1 Thessalonians 4:3-4, it says, "It is God's will that you should be sanctified, that you should avoid sexual immorality, that each of you should learn to control your own body in a way that is holy and honorable." A huge thing is that you're giving a person just a huge part of yourself. Like, that's just a piece of yourself that's, like, if you break up, you just can't take back. You can't take back your virginity. And just being naked is, like, just your most vulnerable state. You're giving, like, your all to someone, and personally, I wouldn't want to do that if it was to someone that, you know, it's just not going to last. I'm going to break up. The future for you guys is not really promised for forever, and especially when we're teenagers, you haven't even become your full developed self yet. You're still changing in your teenage years, and even your 20s, that's when your personality really develops. So just even relationships can be a struggle because you're just going through so much change. I feel like just giving like a whole part of who you are and like just your most vulnerable state to someone who isn't going to be there for you forever, I don't know, that's the huge part, and it can really break a person down and send them into like a very sad state if that relationship doesn't last. So how can you do this? So if you're with someone, you can, and if you're not, like, you just set your own boundaries. And even if you're not in a relationship, it's really important to just know what you're comfortable with and set your boundaries so that you, when it does come time and you have a relationship, you are just comfortable with your boundaries that you already set in place in your mind, and you'll know. If you're in a relationship, you need to build and maintain respect for each other. If you have boundaries, you have to respect the other person's boundaries, because that is just part of trust. If you don't have trust, you really don't have a relationship, because that's just the foundation of all relationships. By setting boundaries and maintaining respect for yourself and others, that really keeps you away from any toxic relationships in your future. So those were the 3 big main topics. That's, yeah, a lot to talk about. But I just wanted to talk about self-control overall, because if you're a little younger and you're not involved in all these huge things yet, it's good to know what kind of self-control you need on like a daily basis. We'll start with the Bible verse. Proverbs 25:27-28. It is not good to eat too much honey, nor is it honorable to search out matters that are too deep. Like a city whose walls are broken through is a person who lacks self-control. It's basically saying like honey itself is not like a bad thing, but anything like in huge amounts is bad for you. Like you can even, like, it's crazy, but you can die from like consuming too much water. You can, like, any huge amount of something is really bad for you. Just having self-control and saying like, oh yeah, that's good. Like, my life is pretty good and I need self-control to say, yeah, I'm not going to keep pushing and pushing and pushing for something more. You need to be satisfied with your happiness in that moment. So how to build self-control? Again, setting your moral standards. You need to actually think about yourself and what you want your moral standards to be. Again, reaching out for support. huge thing, huge thing. At Teen Word, we're always available. You can DM us, you can leave comments, you can use any of our Instagrams after the video is over. At the end screen, there's our Instagrams in the corner. So if you trust a particular Teen Word member and you want to talk to them about any issues or anything you have further questions on, always feel free to contact us there, because we are happy to hear from you, and there is strength in numbers, and we are all here to support you guys. Again, for reaching out for support, even having someone that's like keeping you accountable, like, you know, if you're doing a diet, you always have that one person keeping you accountable, that you're still eating healthy and still going through this process. So you can use that for everyday things too. So yeah, thank you for joining me. Again, if you have any questions or comments or anything, just leave it below in the comment section. And yeah, I hope you have an amazing week, and